Now, I'm not the biggest fan of slice of life anime, and before you put my head on the chopping board and execute me for saying that, I don't mean to say that I don't like them or I think they're bad. That actually isn't the case in the slightest. I just simply prefer darker and more serious anime as a more analytical type of person, which honestly works in my favor as an anime YouTuber and person who wants to watch all kinds of anime. Because whenever the occasion does come when I do want to watch a slice of life anime, such as now in the blazing heat of summer when I'm looking for a relaxing show to kick back my feet and enjoy watching as I munch on a slice of watermelon, these occasional moments when I do watch a slice of life anime, they almost always impress me. A lot. And the fact that it only comes to me in these moments and stands out so much, I think it's a unique characteristic of the slice of life genre, that it resonates with watchers in a completely different way. Contrary to shows that dive into philosophical and existential questioning, the kind that makes your brain over-circuit trying to conjure up theories, Slice of Life celebrates the mundane. It creates beauty out of the dull and monotonous moments of, well, life. The struggles of school, relationships, lovers. But to really capitalize on all of these parts of life, the anime still needs something a little bit extraordinary, be it fantastical and unique to the extreme character personalities, or an underlying, often supernatural concept such as fantasy or science fiction to just add a little bit of spice to these moments, or, fan service. And when all of these three things come together, it makes something really special. And an anime that did bring all of those traits into one to create a distinctly unforgettable story, in my opinion, is Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. With its second season currently airing in summer 2021, this anime, which I will colloquially refer to as Kobayashi-san from here on out, follows the life of a very stoic, independent, and introverted Japanese worker Kobayashi as it suddenly gets turned upside down by Toru, a mythical dragon who, through certain events in Kobayashi's drunken stupor the night before, moves in with her as her live-in maid. Although Toru is ill-fitted for the job, to say the least, as a nearly eternal dragon who has never had any experience acting as a human or adjusting to our society's customs, just as she has a certain effect on Kobayashi, a certain charm, she has that same effect on us viewers. Her absolute love for Kobayashi and desire to impress her leads her into really strange antics, like feeding Kobayashi her tail, which is a delectable treat in the world of dragons, or licking her clothes up and down and drenching them in her saliva to clean them, or blasting a Kamehameha wave into the atmosphere to clear the clouds of rain that would make Vegeta's final flash shiver in fear. But it's all for the sake of helping Kobayashi, earning her approval and learning what it's like to be a maid. Because despite these failed attempts and watching her pitfalls, this slow process of integration into human society is what makes the story so great. Now, before I continue on, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. A massive, and I mean massive, portion of my audience isn't subscribed yet. And if you want, check out the new Discord for the Anime Culture Corner. But, back to it. One thing I love about the genre of reverse isekai, where instead of a normal human being transported to a different dimension by the all-knowing and all-powerful Truck-kun, reverse isekai instead follows a supernatural being have to integrate into our society. Famous examples being The Devil is a Part-Timer and Hinamatsuri. There is something particularly endearing about reverse isekai stories. Instead of being thrown into a completely new world and having to adjust ourselves, we follow a unique character being tossed into our world. One that, while we think is ordinary, is completely foreign to them. We know everything about it, and we follow them as they learn everything from the ground up like a baby. It's hilarious to see how the most mundane things in our life can be supernatural to these characters who are, ironically, far more powerful than any other human being or creation that has ever existed. Seeing an almighty dragon who can destroy humanity itself be in awe by a car, or their obsession with a seesaw and trying to figure out its function despite it being the most simple example of a children's playground toy. It gives us as watchers an odd feeling of parenthood, something that Kobayashi also feels, seeing an almighty creature be confused by humanity's most simple constructs. Watching Kobayashi teach them what it's all like, show them common manners and the necessities of life as a human. And as the show continues, we get more and more characters like Toru who arrive, or more dragons, that is. Of course, we have Toru, the love-struck maid who seeks Kobayashi's approval at all costs, and we also have Kanna, the young prankster dragon who becomes entranced with one of humankind's least entrancing aspects, school. And we have Fafnir, the neat hikikomori dragon who, despite his desire to end all of humanity, is willing to put up with it as long as he can keep playing video games. We see how they all interact not just with humans but amongst each other, as supernatural and extremely powerful beings living in a world of, relative to them, weaklings. They turn swimming into an Olympic sport, and light-hearted roughhousing turns into the decimation of acres and miles of land. A game of dodgeball turns into an absolute battlefield amongst dragons. But what I feel personally makes Kobayashi-san so special as a show, aside from just having just about anything you could want from a slice of life or reverse isekai anime, is that it actually dives into deeper societal fears on top of it all. Not to turn a rather light-hearted video dark, but the occasional serious moments, around one per episode I'd say, are the ones that stuck out to me the most. Because once you see past the surface level of the show, the comedy, the dragons, hiding your supernatural ability among, well, natural abilities, you come to realize that the show is also about ostracized and cast-off members of society as they try and find their place and discover solace in one another. Toru is a dragon who, for the millennia she's lived, has never been able to stay in one place, call one place home, because humans always tried to kill her. Even though her light-hearted quips about how a mall looks like a castle where people once tried to execute her are funny, you realize soon after that it's a real, deep-rooted fear in her that she has as a character. People fear what they don't understand. They fear what is different. In an easygoing episode where Kobayashi, Toru, and Kanna go shopping for school supplies, Kobayashi tells them that the reason all students wear the same uniform in Japan is because being different will end up hurting you. Toru, even though she gradually grows to love humans and love the society around her, she must continue on knowing that if she ever reveals who she really is, then they'll all turn against her. It's a story of her learning to love people who she knows won't love her back if they knew who she really was. And in a similar way, before her life with Toru and the dragons, Kobayashi was also kind of a recluse. She barely ever smiled, and aside from her one work friend Takia, simply went to work alone and returned home alone to drink the night away on her lonesome. But the company that these two share together as two outcasts of society forms a very special bond between Kobayashi and the rest of the dragons that really shines in these kinds of serious moments. Fafnir is a dragon who has lived his entire life away from humans to protect his sacred treasure, which again is thrown out initially as a joke that he's a hikikomori incel who just doesn't want to go outside, which he is, they're not wrong. But then, a couple episodes in, we see how this mistrust of humans for millennia has developed into a genuine fear and hatred for them, until people begin to crack his shell. He learns that not everyone is the same, and that he can always find someone who will believe in him, even if it's difficult to find. And that is ultimately the theme of the show: trust. It's all about this group of extremely out of place and extraordinary characters who have to trust in each other and humanity to see the good in themselves, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. If you haven't seen Kobayashi-san, I highly recommend checking it out. It's an amazing ride, I love all of the characters, and it's something to behold. Even if you don't find enjoyment in these deeper things as I did, everything else, the comedy, the ecchi, the characters, you'll love it all, I'm sure. As always, this has been the Anime Culture Corner. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future in-depth show, manga, and character analyses.